Welcome to my channel. This is Cinder Shadow Gaming, and I've got a interesting conundrum in with one of the War of the Spark cards. So you all know, Spark Double. If you've been following me on any social media, you've seen me talk about it and maybe seen some of the pictures that I've been able to share with everyone. Now, this card can make things crazy. I think possibly in the future, once rotation happens and people are kind of trying to figure out where things are going to lie, Spark Double is going to be one of those cards that's going to skyrocket through the roof. Why do you say? Well, there's quite a few examples here. With Spark Double, it's a 0/0 forecasted creature illusion, with it being 1 blue and 3 generic to cast. You may is a key word here, have Spark Double enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature or a planeswalker you control, except it enters with an additional 1/1 counter. If it's a creature, if it's a planeswalker, it enters with an additional loyalty counter, and it no longer follows the legendary rule. So in this case, you can have like 2 Nicol Bolas's on the board, or 2 God Eternal Kefnits, and so on. Now, where this becomes difficult and very janky is if you're able to get it to enter the battlefield without it copying something. There are many different cards that you can do this with. One is Rhythm of the Wild. That was one of the first ones that came to my mind. So you can give Spark Double Riot, making it enter with a 1/1 counter on it, and you could have it enter literally just as Spark Double. Another one is Teferi's Time Twist. Now, the thing that I do like about Teferi's Time Twist is you can put Spark Double down at anything that you control on the field. Then, when you have your other pieces for this particular combo that I'm going to show you, you could turn around and take Teferi's Time Twist and get the Spark Double back onto the board with just that counter when you're ready to do it. And the last one is Neoform. So with Neoform, you can have a 3-casted creature down, use Neoform, sacrifice that creature, and then have Spark Double enter with that 1/1 piece on it. Now, why do you want a creature that can copy as something on the board as a Spark Double by itself with just a 1/1 counter on it? Well, it comes back to the Spark Double in particular, or if you can copy it in one way or another. Now, what happens here is if you play a second Spark Double, targeting a Spark Double that has not been copied onto as something else, the text goes as follows. The whole, except it enters with an additional 1/1 counter and or loyalty if it's a planeswalker. So now what happens is you continuously target the Spark Double with that 1/1 counter on it, and this text starts to repeat itself. So it goes, for the first instance, you get an additional 1. For the second instance, now you have an additional 1, and so on. So I've been able to actually do this and get like a Nicol Bolas with over 50 loyalty on it. I've also been able to use Simic Ascendancy, which is where if you have 20 counters on Simic Ascendancy, and you get those counters by making these 1/1s counters onto creatures. So if you have 20 or more, you win the game on your upkeep. You could also use this in a deck where you're going to throw the Spark Double at your opponent with, say, Thud. There's many different ways you could pull this off. You could turn around and have him come into play with enough loyalty that you literally could just win the game. So his -8 is each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker loses the game. So if they don't happen to have that legendary creature out there, you can have Nicol Bolas or Spark Double appear as Nicol Bolas and suddenly win the game. And then there's Tezzeret. With Tezzeret, his -9 is you make an emblem at the beginning of your end step. Search your library for a permanent card to put into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. And there's one thing in particular that I think you would want Tezzeret to search for. And you might be thinking, oh, maybe there's Omniscience, there might be some of the other dragons, this, that, something else. No. Timestream Navigator is what you want to be looking for. With Tezzeret's emblem on the board and Timestream Navigator, you could actually get unlimited turns. This has been done with Helm of the Host, where you put Helm of the Host on Timestream Navigator, and then you continuously, every turn, make a token. With this particular combo, when the Spark Double comes in as Tezzeret, you suddenly can have Timestream Navigator enter the battlefield after you sack it. And that's at the end of your turn, so your next turn, it comes back and you can sack it again. And again. And again. So 4 mana each turn. This is actually cheaper than Nexus and is standard legal. This would also be legal in Arena, so this is a possibility, and it might be something worthwhile looking at. Another one is Runaway Steamkin. Can you imagine a Steamkin coming down with 99 loyalty or 99 1/1 counters on it? Suddenly you can fireball someone for 95 points of damage with Banefire without blinking an eye. Another one that I came up with was Marwyn. She can come down with 99 counters on her again. You tap her, suddenly you have 99 green mana. You find a way to untap her, oh my god, that's even worse. So the amount of cards that you can target for this combo are unbelievable. And I honestly think Spark Double is going to be something you're going to see break the meta. Clear out. Right now we have control heavy metas, and because we have a control heavy meta, you can pretty much imagine doing whatever you think you could do. You just need to set it up. So if you can control the board quite well, this is something that's easy to do. This is something that might come out of left field at first. The second this catches wind, this is going to be something that's going to become more than what it should be. Now, back with Spark Double, you can also, with Spark Double, you could also use Mirror Image on the Spark Double, which is actually one cheaper, and do it that way. However, must note with this, for some reason, if you're doing this as a token, it doesn't work. I don't understand the rules enough myself, but if you say quasi-duplicated the Spark Double, it doesn't do it. I think part of it is it's not continuously stacking that up because it's a token, so it's only copying it as is, where when you cast it as a creature, it's a different story altogether. Because it's trying to resolve as a casting spell, where a token, the spell is already resolved and the token doesn't need to resolve further. So it doesn't create this resolvable loop that cannot be interrupted. It's something that is very tricky to really understand. I've spoken to Mike Hatcher, Magic Historian, and King's Knight, which also used to be a judge for Magic the Gathering, and they both sat there, and actually it was a head scratcher for all of them. There's been a few other people that I've spoken to about this, and they sit there and they look at it and go, no, this works. And I've done it in Arena live, thanks to Help for Gamers. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about it beforehand, but he was the one that gave me the idea. Well, what if we did this with the Steamkin for infinite mana? And then I was like, wait a second, there's even more here. So Spark Double is going to be one of those cards that's going to sit under the radar for a lot of people, and I think it's worthwhile taking a look at. A lot of people are adding it into like a Super Friends deck just for the added bonus of you get an extra Planeswalker out. It's not doing much, and people aren't looking at it as a combo piece. Now, combo decks generally in the meta for standard aren't doing very well, mainly because you have control heavy and aggro heavy decks. But this one in particular might be able to creep in, especially when rotation happens this fall. We're still going to see this in the meta for the next 2 years, and it's something worthwhile looking at. It's unfortunate Time Stream Navigator will be rotating out at that time, but for now, that's one thing that I would be looking at. You could easily run this as a mono blue deck with Tezzeret and Time Stream Navigator to try and do the loop. Okay, so I did a little bit of a video. I did it against Sparky just so I could film this faster than it would be trying to randomly get matched up. Just to show you guys how the Spark double combo works. So what I did there was I copied Teferi, put down a Thopter, and then I Teferi time twist the Spark double so it comes back with the counter on it. Now, we're just looking for something to be able to copy it with, which happens to be Mirror Image. And you can see here how many times I'm clicking it, and it's just going click, 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 click. And I think I put him down with 80 loyalty counters on a Teferi, in which I turn around and emblem him right away to do the Time Stream Navigator loop. So I gotta do a full turn here just so the Time Stream Navigator doesn't have the summoning sickness. Now, a little bit that I've done here is I put in Lazotep plating because it gives you and the rest of your permanents hexproof, much like Dive Down does, but now this affects everything and not just one target. So, and you also get a mass out of it, so you get that nice little token. So it's not too shabby. So I went and emblem both here. You know, this is against Sparky. Everyone abuses Sparky from now and again, and it is quite entertaining to do that. So you can see here with Kefnet on board, I can reveal cards, and I've got the loop down. It doesn't matter what my opponent would do at this point. They wouldn't be able to stop this loop from continuing to happen, especially considering I ended up pulling both Navigators that I had in the deck at one point to start doing this loop also. So just to show you here, I did pull another Spark double to try and do the loop. Because it's coming in under Tezzeret's emblem and not under the casting, it resolves slightly differently, so it doesn't do the clicking combo and where it continues to give you ramp up those counters. And you can see I did point at the Ugin there. It came in only with 5 loyalty instead of however many clicks I did on it, but that's because it came in under a different mode. And that different mode, it's not being casted, so it's not sitting so much on the stack. It's the triggered ability of the emblem that's sitting on the stack, not the spell. And that's why it comes in slightly differently. I know it doesn't, to me, it still doesn't fully make sense, but that's the way it's worked, and it's part of the rulings in the programming and in Magic the Gathering in general. It continues to do that. If someone wants to quote down below maybe what that ruling would be, why it doesn't work that way. Now you can see at this point I've drawn so many cards off Tezzeret because I've got enough artifacts on the board that I'm drawing 2 cards per Tezzeret thing. There's no point in me putting out more emblems because I can just draw my deck at this point, never run out of cards because the Time Stream Navigator can always go back to the deck, right? So it's one of those things, you know, by time you be able to pull this off, you don't even have to really worry about it. So other things to add in here after looking at the deck a little bit closer, maybe some Clear the Minds instead of the Chemister's Insight, because you do draw a card off that and it will recycle your deck quite easily. So if certain things go to the graveyard and you still need to get them back, like I only have 1 copy of Ugin in this deck right now, it's easier to get that back into the rotation. And you can see here, I'm copying up the Spark Double a few times just to show you it can still come in as the Spark Double with a number of counters on the Spark Double, and it came in as a 1616. So that is another way that you can do that. You can have it, now if you were running red, you could throw this at your opponent for 16 damage, or give this trample, do whatever you want to these things, and you can abuse the system completely. So this is one of the very many things you can do with Spark Double. This is a nifty little side combo to go with it, with the Time Stream Navigator and Tezzeret being able to loop it for all those turns. So you can start really pulling off some shenanigans. You build this maybe a little more of a control build, and you'll be able to probably storm over quite a bit of other cards. Now, this was something that was out there before War of the Spark came out, but didn't really catch anyone's attention. With the Spark Double, it, I think, could be a little bit more viable, because you could do this if you ran it in with green in a Seismic type deck. I think you can do this as early as turn 5, if I'm correct, with the mana and the Neoform and everything like that. So you could be able to pull this off quite a bit earlier in a game. Now, in a much more control build, you can delay until you get such things down. Maybe you run this with blue-white with high alert and walls. That's another option that you could go there to try and delay the game to the point where you can start looping those turns. So, you know, I'm hoping that everyone found this video in the long run very helpful, you know, and I want to thank you guys solely enough. I cannot thank you guys enough. The channel's growing. We're reaching close to the 300 mark. I believe the last time I looked, I was at 281. So if this is your first time here, do please like and subscribe. And, you know, I do other streams at night. I do play other games such as Dead Cells, although lately I've been playing just Magic the Gathering with the new War of the Spark out there to get some more flavor out of the War of the Spark game. I hope that everything found everyone well, and it's kind of funny here at the end. Sparky did pull a trick on me with the root snare when I just tried to end the game. I thought that was quite funny. I'm like, oh, you damn AI. So, you know, you go another turn. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This has been a how many things can you actually do with Spark Double can actually ruin the game and do quite a bit more. Like I said, there's Marwyn, there's Steamkin, Nicobolus, there's so many other things that you can do with Spark Double that will make things completely ruin the game. But it's legal, and I hope you have fun with this. Maybe build around Spark Double. I believe it's a cheap card right now. You could take it to your next F&M and blow people's mind wide open.